36s at all, mate? Okay, no problems at all? Yeah, just as long as you know the weather and everything, that's what's happening. And the reason why I say that, because the pearl perch are one of those fish that you do catch good ones in close, but they're not as popular as going out further. It's just the way it is with pearl perch. And if you can go a little bit further, how many people got 6 metre boats, say? Yeah, most of you probably have. And guys, jet skis. Okay, so jet skis on pearl perch. Have you been to the 50s yet at all? You have you? Yeah. Well done. Okay. No, I've seen jet skis out in, I don't know, 200 metres plus. But fuel's the problem with you guys, you know, so you got to make sure you got the fuel capacity. Everything else is fine. Everything else is good. But the best thing about pearl perch fishing is what I love is bottom fishing. So I like bottom fishing more than trolling. I love trolling too, but this is a different category. So it's all about understanding which technique you want to do on the day. So you can't really do bait and lures together. You can stop lure fishing and switch to bait together, but you can't have 2 or 3 guys doing different things on the same boat. It doesn't work. It's too hard because one wants to back up, one says don't back up. Lines are all over the joint because of bigger sinkers, whatever it may be, and it's painful. Okay, so the guy fishing with the sinkers, bottom fishing, will probably have his line at the front of the boat most of the day, and the other guys will be at the back all the time because they're using lighter gear. So it doesn't work because the lines are going like that when you're backing up all the time. So my suggestion is, as we do, we go out there and we all lure fish, and then if it's not happening on the lures, which it normally does, but if it's not, then we'll switch to bait fishing. So we start off lure fishing fairly early and just keep persisting. Because if you go bait fishing and the pearl perch are on, you'll bag out in 2 drifts, which is not as much fun, unless you go do something else. You go chase kings or amberjack, whatever. But with bait, it's very easy to get your bag limit. It's only 4 pearlies per person, so quite easy. Oh, Stewie, toys. So how many people jig for pearl perch or want to jig for pearl perch? And bait, you all bait fish, I guess. Okay, and has anyone caught like a pearly over 50 centimetres at all? Yeah, well done. 60? 70? Not yet? Okay. Yet, I'll say the word yet. Does happen. Yeah, that's the dream, isn't it? Yeah, it's a great fish. But has anyone had a hot session on pearl perch yet at all? Where they just like hit the bottom and it's like they're straight on there. It's a great thing, and that they are absolutely suicidal when they want to be. But the one thing about pearl perch is if you drop one, and they do fall off quite easy on the way up, they tell their mates, and the next drift is all over. I don't know how that works, but it definitely works with pearl perch. It's one of those and Jewies, as I always say, are really, really bad talkers to each other. So the secret is you do not try and drop them off your line. So don't try and wind too fast. Okay, wind up slowly. It's a pump and wind technique. Even when on the jigs, as soon as we hook one up, it's just a slow process bringing it up. Look at the big mouth. And when you get those 60 centimetre ones, they pull pretty hard actually. They're quite a good fun. We're only using light line like P1.5, 1.2. P2. And at the heaviest of a bait fishing, probably P4. Okay. So in that sort of category. Well, we'll start on the jigs first, Stu, I think. Or the bait.
I'll probably do bait first.
Go bait first?
Yeah.
Opposite way like we do when we go fishing. Okay. So, bait fishing. Okay, 2 things about pearl perch you need to know. One is that don't really go hard on floaters. So you'll catch snapper all the time doing that way, but not pearl perch so much. I've only ever caught a few on floaters when they've been on the bite, but when you drop the bottom rig down, with twin hooks, whatever, you get 2 at one time. So, I don't know what it is about them, they just don't seem to go hard on float lining, which means using sinkers history, like a Luma sink or whatever, onto a snelled hook system or single hook or a gang hook. They're not really into it, so stick with your paternoster type rig, please. I'll get one of those at first, buddy. So they love dressed hooks. They love all the bling and bang that goes with it. So I do use single hooks, but I've used single hooks like an octopus hook or a circle hook. I'm going to use definitely some sort of tube and bead on the rig, Luma. Okay, even though it's not so dark, maybe in 80 metres, whatever. It is a bit dark, but they want to have some sort of colouring to it. These things are really, really good. You've got some in your bags. 5Os or 7Os are the two best sizes to use on pearl perch. Leader wise, around 60 pound or 80 pound maximum. And sinker size, heavy. So they don't care about weight. One of the good things about catching pearl perch is if you were fishing in close and it was really windy and pearl perch are going to be on that spot, I'd be happy to use a 16 or 20 ounce sinker in 50 metres because I know the pearlies don't give a damn about it, but my fishing will be much easier, straight down. And when you're at deeper water, then we'll use a kilo of lead or whatever it may be in 120 metres. It's quite heavy. But you paternoster that the rigs are hanging off quite loose to the bottom here, so I'll just quickly tie in a sinker. You all know how it works, but we'll just do it. Thanks, G. So pearl perch are, they bite, but as you know, their bottom jaw's underneath their top jaw, so they must sort of swim up and bite on it rather than down. And they're one of those sort of fish that when you hook one, they'll try and they must hit it and lift up. The line will go a bit slack for like a microsecond, and that's them on the line. A bit like drake too, actually. And then when you hook, when you get the second one on, you've got to hold the tension on the line, hold it up tight. But so a paternoster, how it works is that the lead's on the bottom, but these are always loose. So it doesn't matter how big that lead is, that this part here is always soft. And because you're using circle hooks, these are circle hook, when they bite on it, whichever way they bite, small mouth, a small lip at the top, bigger at the bottom, they just hook up straight away, okay? So I'll just pass that around. But that's the sort of thing, if you're not using it already, start using it if you can. And whether it be dress hooks like that, they work. Sorry, mate. Whether it be dress hooks like that or using tube and beads like so, just try it, or little skirts, it doesn't matter, they love it. Okay? Has anyone tried it without and with at all? If you have, you know what I mean. So the guy that's fishing with naked, just hooks and bait, will definitely not catch as many fish as the guy that's using that. So, but as I said before, the problem is 2 drifts and you're bagged out. You get 2 at a time, 2 drifts, and that's it. But in many places with pearl perches, that's probably about the amount of drifts you're going to get anyhow before they go off the bite on that spot. So you rarely get, on pearlies, you rarely get 3 or 4 drifts in, and it's all over. Whether you drop one or not, they must talk or not screaming away up on they do. But same scenario, if you drop one, it's definitely really off straight away. But if you don't drop one, after about 3 drifts, it could be the sound of noise, they don't know what it is. They just switch off. You find that, Stu?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so just remember that. So if your mate drops one, after bashing him, tell him you just ruined our day, because that's what will happen. Okay. Any questions you want to know about that side of it? Okay, rigs, as we showed, that one there's really good. We do use this type of rig here. We're fishing a bit deeper water, in about 120 metres or 150 metres for pearlies. I'll pass that around as well. These are handmade, so they're a little bit more expensive, like 25 bucks each. Those things are quite good value. They work out about $6 a rig, if that, for the two and two, so $12. And if you do want to make your own paternoster, as I said before, 60 pounds, a good size to use, and just do your loop knot. Okay. Does anyone know how to do a loop knot? Does anyone know how to do that loop knot? Does anyone want me to explain it to them? You all good? Okay, good stuff. Spatial loop knots about probably 500 mil apart, at least. Okay. And have your sinker at least half a metre off the bottom from the bottom hook. So half metre, half metre, half metre. Your rig should be about 2 metres long for running 3 hooks, 3 lots of hooks. Do you run 2 or 3 or 1? I would suggest 2 minimum, 3 if you know what you're doing. If you're fishing like 100 metres deep and do it by hand, it's a long wind to go if you miss the first bite and your bait's gone, and you've got to wind back up again. So I suggest 2 is the minimum, because you might get 2 fish on at one time. But also, if you miss that first fish, you at least got to bait for the second fish. If you want to do 3 hooks, you've got even more chances. If I'm going to do 3 hooks, I always run, even at pearl perch, I run a gang hook on the top. Gang hook, single, single. So you've got gang hooks in your bag as well. They're 5Os, I think they're very sharp. When you gang a hook, when you do the hook, roll the hook because they're already opened, roll the hook forward to close it. Don't try and press it in a vice, something will snap. So you've got to roll the hook forward as you're doing it with the pliers. Okay, just a little secret. And yeah, once you've got your gang hook done on the top rig, if you're going to do, say, one of those hooks there, that rig going around the two dressed hooks, I'd probably put maybe another swivel above that swivel with a gang hook and a bit of tube or loom or whatever, or a skirt above those two. Does that make sense? So swivel with a gang hook, and I'll drop a loop, and then that rig, and then sink on the bottom. And that will work very, very well. What else can I tell you about the bait side of things? Gang hooks, as I said before, you've got some hooks there to make up your own. You can get them with swivels and stuff like that in between. You can get two hooks as well, which work really well, dress hooks as well. There's an array of different gang hooks you can use. My suggestion is to not get too bigger hooks, as in length. Try and make sure the pilchard is fitting in the pilly really good. And if anything, even make sure that you can cut the tail off. And the tail stops it from spinning and also allows the smell to come out a bit better. And your top hooks also catch a lot of bycatch like kingies and amberjacks and snapper. Because that pilly's a bigger bait at the top and the big fish are always off the bottom. Light-wise, look, we do use lights. You've got one of these new bags, these little lights. Just attach that to your, this is more subtle, is probably the word to use, in under 100 metres deep. That's a bit of an overkill, okay? Probably the guys doing the road will see it. Just something light like that, and put that onto, if you're using a snap swivel on the end of your main leader, which hook onto your rig, just put that onto the snap first, and then put your rig on next, and clip it up. Or you can tie it on. They're water activated, and they're a multicolour light, okay? Is there anything else you want to talk about that?
No, I don't think so.
That's about it?
Yeah.
Yep. So how do you do it? Thanks, mate. So first thing is you've got to find the pearl perch. You've got to look. You've got marks on your GPS there, on the sheet there, right? Put all those in. When you get out to the area, zoom into 10 metres and just sound around, generally east to west on the reef until you find where it is, and then go sort of north-south along it and see how long it is. Stop, work out your drift then. If you're going to drift north-south, then go up north to the end of the reef and drift down along it. If it's going to be a bit of wind blowing from the northwest or southwest and you're drifting across it, some of the reefs are actually, you'll mark the fish that way as well. So when it's that way and you've got an east-west wind blowing, or west-east, sorry, or east-west, that's when you get the real opportunity of going along those sort of reefs. But generally our drift is south, or the wind's blowing south or north. So we don't get the chance much to fish those east-west facing reefs. But pearl perch like east-west facing reefs. Does that make sense? So I'll draw it and try and tell you. Any other colours at all? No? They've disappeared.
Yeah, over there.
Yep. Right here. Right here. Thanks. So, split screen. How many people have two sets on their boats? Okay, a couple of you do, sounder and GPS. Okay, and how many people use the sounder, zoom, and like split it in three on one screen? You guys can all do that? Most sounders will do it these days, okay? If that's a scenario, I'd probably split it in this scenario here. So that's looking top to bottom. That's looking at the zoomed in section. And you need your plotter fairly decent size. Don't make the plotter too small because it needs to be nearly square shape. Does that make sense? So you can see yourself move around. Okay, now the bottom over here. We're now going from west to east and going down deep. And there might just be a little bump there. And that's because that's looking between 0 and say 100 metres. And this is 90 metres here. You rarely see because that's like 10 metres. So you hardly see anything come up a metre. It'd be quite small, right? And then on this side over here, that's now we're looking at the bottom sort of 15 metres or 10 metres in this area here. So now that's sort of exaggerated. And it'll be something similar to that. So the fish that are on there here, you might have just seen a little glow. And actually on top of that, before that little bit of red, might have been a little bit of green. That's how wireweed normally comes out, it's green or yellow. So now you'll see the wireweed here. It'll be a lot bigger, and you'll see the fish wherever it may be, which was just that little pink dot there, exaggerated, okay? And over here on the GPS, that mark there might be here. And over here we've maybe looked around and might have another mark over here, but not much is happening. That's north, south, east and west. And that's, so we're looking at, on the scale, that's say 100 metres. Okay, so you look at about 500 metres by nearly 500 metres or 400 metres. So what happens is we see that, and then straight away we go, okay, let's mark it. We've marked it here. And then what happens then is, instead of running east-west, you run north-south along it. So that'll change now. So we know it's 92 metres deep. We've still got zoomed in here. So this will now look fairly flat. So, yeah, fairly flat like so. And over here, it'll look like so. And that little bump before was that wireweed there. And there's a few fish along it. So that's that little bit here. Zoomed in. Does that make sense now? And that's here, right? So now I've turned the boat from east-west. I'm going to run, and I've stopped actually before that, sorry. I've stopped and I drift slowly south. There's a little bit of northwest, whatever blowing, fairly south. And on my GPS, I've drifted in that time. I've drifted like that sort of direction. And I've gone 100 metres in, say, a minute, or 2 minutes while I'm waiting. So what I'll do then is, I'll go, okay, I'm going to go run north-south. So that was before, on that drift there, I was on that slope down. Now I turn around and I start driving back this way. And I go over that, which I've just run over here. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm drifting in this sort of direction here. So I'll sort of steam up on that. And hopefully this will continue on. And there might be a little bit of a bump here actually. Just a little bit that I've missed before. A little bump here. And the wireweed will be green. It might be a bit longer. And the fish are definitely a lot better here. And I didn't see that, but as soon as I see that come up, I'm going to mark it again here. That was right here now, so I quickly marked it. And then I'll keep going up until this green stops and the few fish that are around start to taper off. Okay, there might be fish here too. So I'll start my drift, I'll mark the front top of it actually at here. So I'm nearly up to that spot where I was another time. So my boat's gone up to here. So I've got about a 400 metre drift, around about, nearly half a K, which is probably going to take me, if I'm doing sort of, at the moment, about 0.8 to 1 knot drifting speed. So it's going to take me, I don't know, 10 minutes to get down the bottom there. So I'll go up to here, I'll turn around on the pink thing, turn around here, do a U-turn, and I'll do my first drift there, and hopefully I drift over what I've just come up on. Does that make sense? And when I get to back, because we reverse it, back down this end here, and they've gone off the bite, I might, sometimes we often will leave our line in the water, someone sort of just keeps hanging on, they go, wind your lines up, It's like, oh, just give me another minute. The next minute, wham, they're on. So we'll drop our lines back in the water again. Because there might have been another little bump further on, down this way, or back this way, sorry. But then the next drift, we'll go back up again, and we'll go wide this time and come back down. And I'll go, oh, hang on, there's this sort of thing, scenario happening here, you know, maybe around here. That makes sense. And I'll go back up. And then there might have been a bit more stuff along here as well. I've marked it again, but not much. And then I'll do a drift maybe down the middle down here, if that makes sense. I should be the pink one, sorry. Down the middle here. And then the next drift, I'll come back around again. And if I don't see anything, I know the reason is this wire weeds in this patch here. The next one I'll do a drift out wide here, and I'll come down again. And when I get to here, all of a sudden there's another one like that. And this is maybe 200 meters apart. I then realize that there's a ridge running east-west. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, so there's another ridge here as well as that one there. And when the wind ever blows that way, you can drift on that line for next time. You've got to build your network. Really important. Does that make sense? It's a lot of work, but that's how it all works. And like I can go anytime now, and like Stu knows my GPS is just like lines everywhere. But I know exactly from the moment I pull up and which way I'm drifting, it's exactly how I'm going to fish that reef because it's got so much history on it in lines. If it gets too busy, just change the colour of your track line to a blue from pink or whatever it may be. So if that all makes sense, that's how you do it. Then once you're doing that, the next thing you got to do is, so we've pulled up the top here, and when you pull up in the boat, don't keep the momentum of the boat going real fast forward. You'll have to stick in reverse or whatever you can do, or subtly pull up and reverse back a bit. So when the guys drop their lines, it helps to go straight down. If you've got the momentum going forward and they drop their lines out the back like that. Before you even get 10 metres out, they're telling you to back up. And you don't want that sort of hassle. So do that, and then the lines are going down. It doesn't matter if you're fishing 50 metres or 150 metres. Your lines are going down, and when you say this mark here, we're back at the front here. So I'm nearly at that mark there, and I see that mark coming up, and that should theoretically come up, but in reverse is what we see it here. And I'll say to the guys, the fish coming up now, and hopefully by that time, this is talking about bait fishing, someone's got a bite. But what I'll do, as soon as I get near the spot or right on the spot, I'll throw it in reverse. But the thing you got to remember is every time you put it in reverse, your boat, it will always pull you off the track because it's just the way it works. So all of a sudden your line, I'll use a different colour. So instead of drifting straight, you'll be going down, down, down. You put it in reverse, and for some reason, someone's line's around the prop, so you turn the motor a bit that way, so it doesn't hit his line and reverse back. And next minute, the boat's done this little thing out here, and then you continue straight again on the track. You think, oh crap, I'm going to miss that mark down there, right? And then the same thing will happen again out here, and he'll do the same again, and next minute you're out here. And that just happens, and you just got to calculate the next drift to start over here, and you'll get that next spot on the way through on that one, if that's the way you continue. Generally speaking, if the wind doesn't change and the current doesn't change, the drift line, and including you reversing up and changing a little bit, will be the same every drift. It's just that you're moving a little bit, you reverse the motor and changing it around. If you get the days where you don't need to reverse, they're the days the line's straight. But your motor does change your direction. So we've hit the bottom here, we reverse back, the line's gone slack, straight away it's bang, bang. So when you get the first fish on, as I said before, hold the weight on it, hold the tension on it, and then you'll get the second bite and you'll feel a bit bigger and you know you're on. So it's up to you whether you're going to pull up then, or if you've got 3 hooks on, try and get a third one. 2's enough. Wind it up, but wind it up really gently, and Stu will show you on the rod here his action, whichever way it might be.
Yeah, I don't pump it too much, but if you're going to do it, as Dougie said, it's very slow. So slowly lift up, wind down, or if you're fishing electrics, don't run it flat out. You just rip the hook straight out of them. They're very soft.
Don't do that.
But yeah, very slow. Even with like a real light rod like this, I generally just hold it and just wind, just slowly. when it tries to swim back down or whatever, it'll pull a bit of drag and the rod will absorb a lot of it too. So, yeah.
Yep. So don't use too heavy a rod. That's what we're getting at for pearl perch. You've got to use a fairly soft tip. So the heaviest we'd use, well, probably not the heaviest, but getting up there, would probably be something like this combo here. But you can do a lot more with a heavier rod. Obviously, you can go chase jewies and snapper and stuff with it.
Yeah.
But it's still quite soft, as you can see. But that's probably about as heavy as you use on pearl perch, if you want to do it right. Or just run a light drag. So when you wind up and the rod's a bit heavy and it pulls, it can easily pull the drag off a bit. Okay, so we pull them up. You get the pearlies up, they come to the top, and they, as I said before in other seminars, they have an uncanny way of flicking off the hooks at the surface. And they're very hardy. They go straight back down 100 miles an hour. They don't line the surface like this. Unfortunately, you can't scoop them. You don't have time to even look at the net. It's already gone. And that could be big ones or little ones, doesn't matter. So when you get the pearlie to the top, you've got to lift it straight in the boat. Or net it if you're going to be net it. But even netting, if your mate's too slow grabbing the net out, it'll fall off. They flick. Has anyone had that problem yet? You should have had it if you chase pearl perch. So my suggestion there is that we just lift it in the boat. Just grab it, wrap it and lift it in the boat. Sometimes you sink or clang on the boat, but you get the fish. Yeah. And that's how it works. Other than that, there's not much you need to know except that. But the real important part is finding that wireweed. That's what they live in. They love wireweed. Okay, that's whether it be, and we get wireweed in close at 50 metres as well. You just got to find where it is. So it's that little fuzzy stuff on the bottom with the fish in or amongst it. So, and we found the same thing yesterday. First drift, you'll get one fish maybe. Second drift, they come out of the weed, and all of a sudden the next drift, there'll only be that much on the bottom of the first drift. Second drift is like that. They just come out. I don't know what turns them on. Third drift, they're still there, but they may not bite because they got scared. So that's just how pearl perch are. Yeah. And if you go do another drift out here or out there, and it might only be 100 metres off the line you just did, that they don't talk that far. Okay. You'll smash them again, and then you get two drifts on that one, and then you got to maybe go back over this side and have a crack. It's just the way it is.
Not talking to the neighbours.
Not talking to their neighbours. No, they don't. There must be opposition. I don't know what it is, but they're weird. They're one of the weird fish to work out, pearl perch. But if you can nail it, they're easy to catch. And as I said, you bag it real quick. Many times we've gone out by 7 o'clock, first two drifts or one drift, we're nearly bagged out. Okay. So any questions on the bottom fishing side of it?
So just those
yes.
soft rods.
Yes.
With the snapper legs, it doesn't.
No, they do
too
bend.
much.
Oh, they do load up, but these days the rods are fairly strong. So
okay.
yeah, like that ridiculous amounts. Like example would be. I'll show you how light, how strong. So this one here is super light, because they're like a jig rod as well. They have normally a rating on. Most of the good ones do anyhow. Sorry, put my glasses on that. Small rod.
300 grams.
Yeah, 300 grams, which is nearly a pound of lead, right? But that's a very light rod.
Yeah, very soft.
Very soft.
Yeah.
And you get to something like this fellow here. Oh, actually, that one there, Stu. Oh, not that one, this one. That's the rating on that one, huh? I say 300 grams there. But again, it's very soft though. But yeah, we use soft. Soft is good. Only because it's got such a soft mouth. And because their mouth's so big, when they're coming up, the hooks, because there's obviously circle hooks, it just rips a big hole in there. Very easy. Every fish you nearly nail and get in has got a finger-sized hole in its mouth where the hooks are sitting.
Yeah, they just fall off in the boat.
Yeah, falls in the boat,
Yeah.
Yeah. David?
Yeah.
The wheat fish, we tend to get a lot of smaller and undersized ones. Do you have a trick for getting the bigger ones?
Yeah, go a bit deeper. It's as simple as that. So it's a reverse roll in close. So the ones you get in close are rarely ever small. They're always 50 centimetres. I'm talking 50 metres. You never get little ones in close, but you get lots of little ones out wider. And yesterday we'll catch them like we get many maybe like 2 mil under or centimetre under, like they were 37 centimetres or 37.5. But then they were mixed with ones that were 55 centimetres or 50 centimetres. So part of the parcel, I guess. But there are times, like you said, David, where you only catch little ones this big, you know. You got to move on. Yeah, they're probably not going to be there, or they're not feeding, whatever it may be. Yeah.
Do you find the bigger ones prefer the lures and jigs?
That's a good question too. Yesterday they did.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Sometimes they do, but
Yeah.
like if you're jigging and they're all little, it's just a pain. I jig faster, try to get away from them. But, yeah. Hope the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I would say if as I said, we normally start lure fishing first, and then if things are a bit quiet and we can't work out why we're not taking the lures, then we'll just give bait a crack, and when we get fish straight away, then we'll think, oh well, maybe let's not take lures today, you know. But it's not very rare that we don't catch 4 or 5 or 6 on lures before we use the bait. So you're nearly bagged out anyhow. But we've had a bit of fun. And there's other bycatch you get that are amberjacks, whatever, as well, on the jigs that are more prolific than bait fishing. Yeah.
Do you move on once you've hit a spot with all small ones? Or
Yeah, I do. That's what's on the David. So if you're getting little ones,
just move on.
you just try and find a better patch of wild weed. Don't go far. You don't have to go like another 50 metres deeper. It's more a case of just trying to find another patch of wild weed and work it. But there will be times when you get lots of little ones, and that's just the way it is. Which is great to see, but not that what you want. So, but when you go out in the deeper water, so you start fishing. How many people go over 100 metres here? Okay. When you get over 100 metres, they're rarely small. They're never small. They're always 40 to 70 centimetres. Yeah. The thing you got to remember is if you're going to make the effort to get out to 50 fathoms, which is 85 metres or 90 metres deep, it's taking you 40 k's to get to there, but you're in 150 metres, just another 2 k's or 3 k's. It goes like that. So it's very quick. You don't have to go very far to go deeper. And I find the magic depth for decent pearl is about 120 to 130 metres. They love that depth. But even 100 metres is good. You've got to get over that edge, and as I said, the bottom's like that, 40 k's, 0 to say 90 metres, and once you get to 90, then it sort of changes, and that wire weed is very common along the first 10 metre drop. So between 88 and 100 metres is a lot of wire weed. It grows, it flourishes along there. And then there seems to be not much to get about 120 metres. I think because we have little stone ridges, wherever it may be, in those different depths, and then the wire weed grows on it. And a lot of time we pull wire weed up with little rocks attached, the small rocks. So it must grow on the small rocks. So it's not like reefy reef, it's more rocky, small rock area. Okay. And like sounders these days, they're pretty good. They'll pick the bottom up. You'll see the wire weed. You sort of discrepanize between the wire weed and the fish. But if it's a solid yellow or green, it's generally wire weed. Okay. And if you've got red dots in between, blotches in between, that'll be fish or pearl perch or pigfish, whatever it may be, in amongst the wire weed. And as I said, it'll go from that to that. The next drift, they'll just come out. Once one gets caught, I think they seem to want to know what's going on. Yeah. So, any questions on that? Okay, go and do it. That's what I say. If you like to travel, like yesterday, we spent half a day in those rough as. We wanted to try and find some new grounds. We love finding new ground. Didn't have much luck yesterday finding new ground. We found a couple of spots, but we lost a couple of good fish actually. But then they went off the chew straight away. Stuart dropped one, and my son Jack dropped one, and they were good fish. Oh, Liam was it? I think Liam dropped one, and the next drift they just didn't bite. They obviously told their mates. But on the sound, it looked really good. So next time we'll hit that again and try it. And as I always say, pearl perch is one of those fish that you really want to mark when you're trolling lures around. So if you troll lures around for wahoo or dolphin fish or whatever, in that, especially around that 36 to 50 fathom area, and you come across wireweed. So some of the best pearl perch spots are actually between 36 fathoms and 50 fathoms. So about 30k out. So easily accessible in 4.5 metre boats, and on a good day. And we call it 42 fathom reef, okay? And not many people know about it because everyone sort of keeps it pretty quiet. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying this live, but I am. But anyhow, if you guys can find that, I don't know if there's any marks on this sheet. I'll have a quick look, give you some idea. I'm really happy because it's not on there. Just joking. No, look, it isn't actually on there, but I will get it for you before we go. There might be some there actually, where it says under 70 metres. I think it's actually over 70 at the bottom end of it, but I'll get it for you. But it's very, very blotchy reef. It's not big pinnacles. It comes up 1 metre maybe or 2 metres off the bottom, but it's all wireweed. It's all big pearl perch, and you get bar cod in there too. We don't normally get bar cod until 100 metres plus, 120. But in that 77 metres, 73 to 78 metres is the depth. 70, I haven't taken Stuart there yet. But in that depth is big pearlies and bar cod, a lot of big fish. You don't get many snapper, you don't get many kingies, you don't get many amberjack. It seems to be the home of those sort of fish. Has anyone fished that area yet at all?
That's what I was fishing last week.
How'd you go? You got the mixed bag?
Yeah,
Yep.
mix between the one little snapper, couple pearlies,
Yep.
husky,
Yep.
random
Yep.
trevally.
You down south for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
biggest grinner I've ever seen.
Okay. That's what Stewie normally catches.
People get lazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right though. But you're in about, what, 75, 77 metres? Something like that? 73. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right there in
Yeah.
the
So that it's in blotches, you'll probably find the same too, but there's wireweed there, getting quartered on the way through. Yeah. So if you can find that, and it runs all the way up off Moreton too, Dave, let you know that. Anyone here from Brisbane? Yeah, it's up that way as well, guys. So it'll be, the trouble for you guys, it's more mid-island down towards the bottom of the island. It's not, deep Tempest is too close. It doesn't allow that sort of stuff to happen up there. You got to come sort of out from, always get mixed up. Is it Henderson's Rock, the one that's halfway down the island? Out from there, out and south. If that makes sense. So you might have to go through South Passage to get to it. Okay. But that's the stuff you got to look for, and you see that trolling around. We've always found all our spots trolling around in that area. But it's so good fishing without going too far. Okay. Apart from that, the next best fishing is obviously in deeper water than 120 metres. And in the 50 metres or 24 fathom reefs, if you're going to get chase pearlies there, on the back side of it, so it means on that, where the 24 fathom reef drops down from sort of 45 metres or 46 down to 48, 50 on that edge, there's wireweed along there. It tends to be more popular down sort of Q1 and just north of the seaway. And on about 27.54, I think it is, or 55, might be on here actually. Yeah, it is. Third mark from the top. Actually, yeah, third mark from the top. 27.54, 153.32. On the where it says under 50 metres, that's wireweed. It's just north of the seaway. And then on the 36 fathoms, same deal again, 36 fathoms, it's on the back side of the reef, not the front side. So you'll have, particularly north of the seaway, you've got 2 rows of 36 fathoms. It's not exactly 1 mile apart, and one's one ridge and the other outside's the outside ridge. They both run for a few k's, north and south, and all the pearlies are on the outside of the outside ridge, okay? And it needs to be about 68 to 70 metres deep. That's where it drops down a little bit before it flattens out to sort of 75, 80. There's not much of that 73 to 77 metre stuff between jumping pin and seaway and jumping pin. There's not much there. It's more off Southport and south. And then what they call the cathedrals up north is sort of like, it's where the 36 and that meets, if that makes sense, up north there. You'll work it all Okay, so any questions on the bottom fishing? Yes.
At the time of day, will they bite through the day?
Yeah,
or
good
over
call.
the morning?
They do. They definitely are. I'm a big believer in the moon rising out of the sky somewhere, whenever it comes up. They'll bite then. They definitely don't bite at night time. I've only caught a couple of pearlers at night. They've been really big though. And early morning, late afternoon. Look, it's always a better bite time for anything, but definitely during the day, they love that sort of. If you got high tide at 10, they'll bite about probably 12 o'clock, 2 hours after high. Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, and sort of does Stewie's head in a bit, and mine too at times. Yesterday, the bite time, windy, complete different bite time to say the book or to the 2 hours after high tide period. That's what I believe is the best bite time. 2 hours after high tide, no matter what time of day. But windy says completely different. It's saying there's a bite time there, then it drops off, then it picks up again, then it drops off, and then there's a big bite time there. It's like that, which I guess is based a bit on tides, moon, and everything into accordance. But if you just stick with the 2 hours after high tide or late afternoon or early morning, you're going to catch fish on those three times. Tide bites, high tide and low tide. Not really big. They are for trolling, but not so much for bottom fishing. Not really important. Yeah. Anything to add to that one? No, it's one of those things we're still working out after 50 years. Okay, go to lure fishing. Is that all right?
One more
Yes,
question.
please.
Favourite baits?
Oh yeah, good question. I didn't do that, did I? Okay, favourite baits. So they are definitely on the day. Okay, they love pilchers. That's why I always put a pilcher on a gang hook at the top. Single hooks I run sometimes pilly and squid. If I use a pilly and squid, as I do for all my circle hooks, I cut the pilly in half and I go through the eye. Then I just put a piece of squid, maybe that size, on the bottom of the hook. They'll mulch on it, breaks up, and his mates come and grab the other ones, whatever. Same as we do deep dropping, same scenario. But yesterday, when we didn't bait fish till the last hour, and they definitely went hard on squid, was it? Squid, yeah. Yep. Mullet fills, I don't like using for pearlies. They do eat it, but they don't like it. Mullet fills to me is a bait you use over 200 metres deep, not inside 200 metres deep. Go up north, whatever, trout fishing and stuff like that, mullet fills fine, or down a guy, whatever. But down here, pilchers, squid, simple as that. Ocky's good too. Hockey legs are good. But pillies and squid's probably going to be a prime bait. Live baits are good too. They love live baits. And they'll attack it pretty hard. Yeah. Circle hook size, I'll pass these around as well. There's a couple of different types of circle hooks. There's a few different types actually. Probably one of our biggest sellers of those fellows there in a 7.0, is it? 7.0? I've got three lots of different types of 7.0 here. Then you've got your octopus circle. They're very popular. These are actually made by BKK. They're very good hooks. And you've got what I call a mutsu hook. So a mutsu hook is like the octopus hooks are generally straight. Well, they might have a little offset at the bottom, tiny one, which means that they're in line nearly. A mutsu is very offset. So when you jag on it or pull up on it, they're one of the only circle hooks you can really reef hard on and hook the fish. Generally a circle hook, because it's loose on the paternoster, it does its own job itself, okay? Hooks up itself, but these ones you can actually strike at. They're called a mutsu. Sorry, mate? Yeah, 2 hooks at the top or 3, up to how you want to do it. If you want to run 2 all the way down, they're very good as well. Yeah, you can run 2, 2, 2, 2 if you want to do your own ones. But I like to dress it with beads or tube. I hate doing all that and then hook up on a reef and lose it straight away. It's part of the parcel. Yeah. If you're going to make your own rigs, guys, just make up quite a few before you go out. Like half a dozen at least. It's all preparation. And when you're out there, you don't sit there making up rigs while they're on the bite. Because that bite periods are very quick sometimes. There's nothing else to add to that, Stu. So we've done the bait, we've done the backing up, lots of stuff. I think that's about it, yep. And please understand, as I said before, the most important thing is that try not to drop the fish. Snapper and that, they don't care about those. Jewies, they're a little bit similar. maybe it's a fish with a black sort of bladder. I don't know, like inside the belly or the air bladder. So pearl perch have a similar air bladder to Jew, and I don't know if they use that to talk or not, or whatever they do. Okay, Stewie, lures. This is a big department in the lures side. So you've got two types of lures mainly, or three actually, but the main two is slow pitch, which is the ones that flutter a lot. We do catch them on knife jigs too, but not intentionally. So sometimes we'll be jigging really hard at that for kings and amberjack and catch a big pearly. And you wouldn't never think they'd take it, but they do. But the ones that are very slow and flutter down, and when you jig it and they flutter back down, is the ones they really like normally. And then your octa jigs is the other type of jigs, so octopus type jigs, which is like this style of thing, Lucanus type jigs. They love Lucanus type jigs. Although yesterday, they didn't. They didn't. And yesterday we tried out this new jig here, which is called Fast Flip. And it just outfished everything and anything, these things. We only just got these in. But Liam stuck with that all day. Stuart had that colour. Liam had that colour, and there was the orange one he had as well. My son Jack, I think he went through 10 different jigs and he got a couple of little ones. Meanwhile, the other guys are just, especially Liam, was just pull them up, pull the pearlies up. And it was just, got to be the jig.
Yeah.
Wasn't the action, I don't think. Could have been. So then the action's all different too, but we'll start the lures first. So people often ask us, do we need assist hooks on the bottom, on the top? So when you're slow pitch jigging, definitely put hooks top and bottom. You're going to get caught in the reef occasionally, but the thing is, when you're jigging fast, the bottom hooks get caught up on the line sometimes. And you've got to wind it all the way up. Okay? 100 metres deep is quite hard work. But when you're slow pitch jigging, and it'll flick up, but it won't flick up like that. So it rarely gets hooked up. I think you got a couple of times maybe.
Yeah,
But you jig it faster.
Yeah.
Compared to Liam. Liam never hooked up at all, I think.
No. So, there was 3 of us jigging most of the day yesterday, and I think out of that, we got 2 snags on the bottom. So it's not too bad.
That's 2 lures for
yeah.
3 guys fishing for 6 hours, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as Dougie said, top and bottom is definitely the go. Like these ones, a lot of them come pre-rigged with top and bottom. A few of them just come with the tops. Just depends on the jig. But the biggest thing is with the top and bottom hooks is it actually allows it to sink more horizontal on the way down. So it'll slow the sink down because there's drag on the bottom. So if you've just got a jig rigged with assist on the top and your line on the top, there's a lot making it just sink straight down. Not much action. A lot of resistance on the top end, none on the bottom. Whereas if you've got assists on the bottom as well, it kind of wants to favour and kick as well, like kick out and flutter down and things like that. So adds a lot more action to the jig.
And a lot of jigs are designed specifically to do that naturally as well. I think because of that reason. So a lot of jigs will be like round and smooth on one side, the other side they'll be ribbed, or they'll have a scallop out so that when it flips over on the way down, it then has a different action. Then it'll flip back over the other way and go that way. Which really, at the bottom, I can understand it'll annoy the fish. The fish, I think they've nailed it, what they're going to do, hit it. Then all of a sudden the action changes and it goes the other way, so they get aggressive. And fish don't like being upset, I think, so they hit it harder. But yeah, there's so many different jigs, guys. Look, this new one's from Samaki, the new slow fall rib cage. A great lure. We've been selling lots of those, and guys that have been using them are doing really well. The koikas, we've been selling those forever. They've been really good in their day as well.
So I think the biggest thing is with when you put in assists on, obviously, like if a jig does just come with top hooks and you put in bottom hooks on it, you can get different length hooks as well. So you don't want a really long set on the front, a really long set on the bottom, because they can swing around and get caught on each other. So you don't need a massive one for the bottom, because if they nip at the tail or anything like that, they're going to get caught. But something like that type of style, really short on the bottom, if you've got a jig with quite long hooks on, is fine.
Yeah. So with the hooks, it's not hard to do. So if you buy a jig that's just got a top hook, first thing I try and do is maybe swing it to 2 hooks instead of 1. Okay. Second thing I do is add a hook to the bottom The bottom one can be a single hook if you want, so less chance of getting caught in the bottom. So switch the hooks around. So you buy your double assist, buy some split rings, little pair of split ring pliers, whatever it may be, and just change the hooks around. And as we always say, that's just Stewie's rig from yesterday. So as we always say with the hook rig, if you leave the hook rig on the line, Stewie's probably about to show you, I guess.
Yeah, so a lot of the jigs, even though they come with hooks on them, I'll take them all off, put them in a bag, so it's just a jig on their own. And it's super, super easy to change it on the day. So I'll just have like a spare single assist or a double assist. I'll take that off and change that when I change my jig anyway. But all you need to do is just have a good little set of pliers and open up your ring and just split them on and split them off. So the beauty about it is as well, when you're traveling, that's just on your rod. That you don't have this heavy jig clanging and banging and stuff like that. We sell a lot of rods. We get a lot of rods back broken. 98% of them don't break when they're fishing. It's jigs fall off on the way out, or a snapper lead falls out on the way out. The tip bends like that, and it's done. They're pretty light rods, but this way here, it's super, super safe, super easy, super quick, and you don't have jigs tangling in your tackle box everywhere either.
Could I just, have you got solid rig on there as well, mate?
Yeah.
Do you mind just putting that back on for a sec?
So the other thing is as well, which Dougie was probably just about to say, but
He really shows minds.
always tie to a solid ring. So never tie to a split ring, because we're only jigging like, say, 40-pound leader or something like that. Like, they're not the raspiest of fish. If you run line like that tied straight to a split ring, there's two sharp edges. So that leader knot is going to get caught into the split ring, and it's either going to cut or it could start sliding off or anything like that. So a solid ring tied on there is a nice smooth edge for it to tie to.
Yeah, so as Stu said, use a solid ring on the top and you just tie directly to it. Don't need to do a loop knot. But the beauty is the jig is just a part of the parcel. So when you've got a fish attached and your line, it's a direct pull. Like the line is pretty well straight with the fish fighting on it and the line on your pull. But if you have it attached to the line attached to the lure, the fish is actually able to sometimes use it as a pivot point to pull out the
Yeah, like
hook
a
of its
leverage.
mouth. Leverage it out of its mouth. So you'll lose a lot of fish on the way out, especially pearlies, tying directly to the lure.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're fighting the fish direct, you're not fighting it through the lure.
Yeah, you're fighting it on,
Yeah.
on that there. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So please do that as well. Thanks for saying.
Unfortunately, 98% of lures that come rigged don't have that solid ring on there, so you just got to buy
It's
a
another
set of
cost,
solid
I
rings.
guess.
But it's not too bad, and you save yourself a losing a lot of fish along the way. If not, you can just buy like it's a combi ring, so it's just a split ring with a solid ring on it straight out the packet. So buy a set of these, you just tie that on, and then you can put your assists on and put your jig on, and you're away. The other thing is with the hooks, most of them do come with fairly light gauge assist hooks, but there's a few like
Cast.
ones, cast. They're more of an up north jig, really good jig.
Yeah.
But the hooks are just so solid on there. They're too thick. So with this light gear, you just won't set the hook. So it's really important.
Yeah, no-
I normally
Yeah, Cast, Nomad, and a few of the brands they're
Yeah.
made for up north more than down here.
Yeah.
And we're only using like P 1.5 or 2. They're using like P 4 or 6 or 8. You need our line it's harder to set that hook firmly, if that makes sense. Like where they drive it home, it's quite thick.
yeah.
So I'd be swinging the hooks, good jigs, but swing the hooks off them to suit.
Yeah, I'll pass these around. These are a lot lighter hook. And even though they're light, I mean, like I've got an 18 kilo Samson on that set up on those little tiny fine white hooks. So they're nearly straightened out, but I've still got the fish, so it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
it's only way you can put pressure on that line. Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing too, guys, is colours. Oh, is there any questions on the hooks? Dressed hooks work better than non-dressed. That's another thing too. So they've got sparkle on them, or whatever it may be, tend to work a bit better than not just plain Jane ones. Like those, they're plain. Okay. Plain ones work well in the octopus hooks in that style, octopus lure. because they have the tinsel and the legs around it, so it doesn't really matter. But you've got to have something on there. It's a bit like that type of thing. You've got to have something on there. Works better. Pearlie's a flash. Okay, getting back to the jigs. So we'll go through the jigs now. So long, skinnier types, like the standard type ribcage from Smarky, great jig as well, but they don't flutter as much as the first one that went around, the real flat one. So black style is very good. Wilson's do one that's really, really good as well, Stagger Bond and the Wingman.
Yep.
Very, very good as well. And then you can get stuff that's just different shapes and sizes, and shorter and squatter. It is endless. Very, very endless. I'll pass these around.
So the biggest thing with all of
Colour. I was going to say colour. Don't be scared to try a black lure. Okay, we talked about this before. We have customers that buy these sort of things in black, whatever it may be, in a Canis type jig. Buy the boxes of 10. Black is a very good colour for deep water. You could tell straight about the Japan thing, the black thing. You know, the colour.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know if anyone's seen it, but I don't know. I was just scrolling through Facebook one day and I stumbled across it. There's a diver that goes down with like different coloured beads on a piece of rope, and it shows them change colour through the water spectrum. All through the water column. So red or pink's one of the first colours to disappear or change colour. First one to lose it in the light spectrum. Black is the only one that's a solid colour that stands out from the top to the very bottom. It's because it's creating that silhouette. It's a solid colour. Doesn't go anywhere.
Purple's next.
Yeah. I've always liked pretty dark colours and stuff like that. And yeah.
But in saying that, I love using pinks or orange on the perch.
Yeah.
That's me.
Anything that glows a bit as well.
Yeah. Or
Like generally
white's
the pinks and orange does glow,
Okay, as we said,
Nearly always hit on the drop, those?
A lot
a lot of time they do, yeah. And like yesterday, I noticed what Liam was doing. So he was trying to work out which way they wanted to feed. You've got to work out which way the action might be. And he was just doing a big lift right up high and then dropping it back down. And things with that, you got to lift it either on there or they hit it on the fall, as you're saying. Where Stu was sort of like just going a
I
bit
like to
faster.
be constant,
Yeah, constantly.
You're
do it.
winding it back in the whole time and then
Generally,
Yeah, correct,
So
yeah.
the other big thing is when you're doing it, multicolour line. So multicolour line or a line with a trace of colour or something like that in it, so you know where you are. There's some colours, some lines like the one on that little electric. It's just white, but it's got a coloured stripe every 10 metres. So you know that that's
And
10
different
metres
colour.
up.
So orange or green, whatever it might be.
Yeah, so the other one is obviously 95% of lines that change colour is meterage. So one colour, 10 metres. So if you've got fish like that on the sound and you know that that's 10 metres and that's where they are, there's no reason to keep working it past there. Occasionally a straggler will follow it out and you might get it 20 metres off the bottom, but you've just worked 10 metres of dead water. So just work it up one colour or a colour and a half and then drop it straight back down. You want to maximise your time down here and less up here. The other thing is with a slow fall jig is they're designed, as Dougie said, to have a lot of action on the sink. To try to sink this area here faster, it sounds really weird. Apply a little bit of pressure. Just run your jig through your fingers or something like that. You don't want to stop it, but just that little bit stops it. It pulls its head around and it makes it sink more horizontal or more vertical, sorry. More vertical, so it just makes it rocket away. As soon as you got a little bit of resistance, say you're down 30 metres or whatever, the line coming off the spool will hold that jig upwards anyway, and it'll sink faster than as it is if it's sinking naturally on its side.
So, action-wise, whether you're using a spin rod or it's a little spin rod I use a lot of, we're using like a spin over, it doesn't matter, I'll do the spin first. So if you've got a little bit of wind or whatever it might be, hold your rod up high, put it on an angle over, a bit harder next to the boat. Imagine that's the side of the boat there. What I'll do is I'll just point it and let it just run down as fast as it can. Hold it up and let it run down. If you hold it like that and it's got to pull over then down, you can probably drop about 10% more time to get down there, right? And plus 10% more out on an angle. and obviously spin's easy, just open it up and let it go for it. Leader wise, as Stuart said before, I'm generally using around 40 pound. That size there, that's my favourite, 40 pound that. Line size, yeah, P 1.5 or 1.2 at the smallest, which is about 30 pounds, 35 pounds. Oh no, sorry, 20 pounds to 25 pounds. Up to around about P3, but P2 or 1.5 or 2 is probably the most popular for pearl perch fishing. Capacity wise, try and have at least 200 metres of braid on, if not 300. And yeah, that's the way to do it. So that's a little 5,000 Vanford, and the rod's a PE2, it's quite soft. Okay. So the action, it's hit the bottom, I'll take up the slack, I make sure my drag's set right, not too far, not too hard, not too light. But when you hook up, you don't want to just pull out, because they'll probably throw the hook at that period. You want the hook to stay in, but at the same time, you don't want to hook out of his mouth. So you've got to get that right feel, okay? And then the action, I'll just take the slack up and I'll just lift it up very slow and then just drop it down, take up a turn. And that's how Liam was doing it yesterday. Just nice and gentle. He's probably standing his tippy toes already. Went up. He's trying to get a lot of height out of it. But other times, you might just take up a little bit and just lift it a little bit and drop it back down again. When I'm using the octopus ones, we'll talk about in a minute, I change my action a little bit differently. The other thing I do, if they're not biting on the high lift or just a half turn sort of lift, I might actually do the first lift up, just take a little bit and then lift it up again and then shake it, okay? Shake it and then drop it back down again and boom, they'll hit it. You just got to work out in the day, I think, that's how it works. But you use the overhead more than spin, Stu, don't you?
Yeah, I like the overhead just because it sits in your hand a little bit nicer and it's easy. So that's just a little Osha jigger. It's probably one of the better ones that you can get, but they're good and they're easy to use. So simple as, it's just got your little free spool there. When that braid runs off there, it runs off a bit nicer because the drum's turning, so your jig's going to sink a bit quicker than a spin reel. And it's easy, if you get a bite on the way down or whatever when you're sinking it, you can just turn the handle and you're in gear, you're away. You can set the hook really easy instead of putting the bail arm over. Yeah, I just let it sink down, hit the bottom. You got to know, some people count colours on the way down, it's too hard. We always count colours from the way up. A, they're a bottom fish, and B, it's you know that you're on the bottom. So you might have, say, that little bit of line angle in 80 metres, you might actually have 120 metres of line out, potentially. And but as long as you're working back from the bottom, you're sweet. So I just lift quite a high one. I throw the rod tip down pretty quick, and then when I wind up that slack, I kind of go like two little short ones. Again, wind up or lift up, throw it down quick, wind up, flick, flick. So I'll wind that up the 10 or 15 metres or whatever, drop it down, do it again.
Still work it out in the day.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Yeah. That's what my little overhead I use. Just a little Jempu. Shimano and a little Gamoku rod. These Gamokus are really the first guys to do slow pitch in Australia. And they're just great little rods, you know. This one's a really old little rod, this one. Done a bit of work. Still going. But it just depends what you want to use and what you want to do. What you use to spin or overhead, up to you guys. But you can't go too big on the overhead. And the maximum I'll use would be this one here, which is okay with about 80 gram and heavier. That's a little 2000 Osha jiggers. That's like Stewie's is an Osha jig as well. They're just really good reels, you know. That's on a Bannon rod. And that's about as heavy as I'd use for pearlies in that type of rod. And that's PE3. Which is about 50 pound braid, and they work really, really well. And the same technique again. As Stewie said, the best thing about overhead is it's in your hand. So it's very easy to control the rod, where the other one is sort of gripping the grip and you're holding. This one you control the whole thing, the other one you control the rod, the reel's still in the other hand, right? So it's what you're used to. Yeah. Leader wise on that, I think I use 50 pound, a bit heavier on that one, but 40 generally on all the lighter stuff. Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Stu?
The other thing with leaders, I mean, you can fish fluoro or standard mono.
Yeah.
Fluoro is good, but I'd definitely recommend bumping it down. Probably fish 20 or 30.
30, yeah.
Just because it's hard. I actually just use mono. 30 or 40 pound mono.
I might sort of
That's
spread that
fine.
back, my friend. I'm just going to rip a bit off there for a sec. You can compare the different feelings for the two. Some people don't understand that fluorocarbon sinks better than mono, but it's quite stiff, so the action in the lure is a little bit lost. The same sort of thing. No cutters on these two. Here they are. Clever scissors, clever split ring pliers. Sharp. I'll get a bit of this one. I think you got this one in the bags, I think.
Yeah. So the other thing is mono stretches better than fluoro. So fluoro being so hard, it doesn't really stretch. So again, soft mouth, soft rod, bit more stretch in the line. It's going to result in less pulled hooks.
Yeah, so just feel the two as it comes around, you'll see the difference what we're talking about. The pink one's mono, the white, the clear one's fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon, normally when you use it in shallow water for flatties or jacks, whatever, it reflects light, doesn't absorb light, so it becomes nearly invisible to the fish. They don't see it. In deep water, it's irrelevant, but it's the characteristics of it sinking, the characteristics of it being very abrasion resistance on the bottom, compared to normal mono. That's why it's the advantageous side of it. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to go to, any questions on the soapfish jigs, on that part of it? I'm going to go now to sort of like, has anyone tried squid tracks at all yet? Any caught any pearlers on squid tracks?
a couple.
Have you? Yeah.
Mainly snapper though.
So the really good jigs to use, there's a squid tracks here, they're really good jigs to use when there's not much wind or current, because they're quite
Bulky.
yeah, bulky is the word for it. They get a lot of air in water, if that makes sense. So they don't fall as quick and easy, but they do work it really well when it's not much wind and current. But they definitely catch fish, like so good. Okay.
We tend to work those.
So
Very
just lift it
slow.
up. It can try, these ones I try and keep contact with on the fall
Yeah.
all the time. A bit like vibes, same technique as a vibe actually. I didn't get to use this. I could give
Yeah.
it a separate. This is another jig from Mustard, which is like an octopus. Has anyone ever tried these before? How'd you go, buddy?
Perch and a snapper.
Well done. Yeah, good. They do work. How'd you go, mate?
Snapper ones we use.
The snapper got one? Yeah.
Snap bait.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But these guys have twin assist hooks in them and like a big ball with the octopus over the top. They're quite expensive though. I've got a deal on those tonight, but I'll tell you a bit later. But they're expensive. And then we go into the huge range of octo jigs. Now, the reason I like octo jigs is they sink quicker and better. Okay, there's like a big ball sinker, straight down. And you don't need to do much action for it to work, as in nothing. They just, you have if you're a bit unco like me and you can't get your action right, they'll still jump on it. Okay, they work really well, but not yesterday. I don't know what happened yesterday. Strange, eh? But anyhow, there's a lot of different brands. The original one was Lacanis. They were probably right near the start there, 8 years ago or 10 years ago. The Japanese have been doing this sort of thing for years. We've sort of conned onto it after, I think New Zealand got onto it first, and then we were after them. And they just work really well on snapper and everything, but they definitely work well on pearl perch. So size-wise, 80, 100, 120, 150. That's the 4 sizes we like to use that here. If you're fishing in, say, that 36 fathom area, 80 is still the size to use. Still the size, which is that size there, I think. Yep. That's Stu's got a
There's
60
a little
here
60
as well.
there as well. Like if you've got no current during winter, no wind, and you're fishing a 36s,
Or the 24 fathom rig, 50 metre rig.
that little 60
Yeah.
grams is quite good. Yeah. You want to try to get away with the lightest jig that you can on the day. So ideal rule is 1 gram per metre. So if you're fishing 120 metres, about 120 grams. Is it ever ideal? No. Or if it is, you're probably at work. But just give it a go, and that's kind of what you start with. If you get into the bottom easy, go lighter. If you're not getting to the bottom, go heavier, obviously. But yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of different brands. That's the Shimano. Daiwa do a great range as well, and a great different styles and sizes and colours and whatever else. So their Koga jigs are probably the most popular range, which is this style here. That's a Lumo one, that's a chartreuse one. There's ones that have got tungsten beads in them and different tails. That's a black one.
Yeah.
There's that type of swinging type one with the blade on as well. So they'll swing around. They sort of fall shaking on the way down, the way they're shaped. They're quite different. And when you lift up on it, the back actually flips up. They're very, very out there, but they all work. So I passed you around 3 different styles in these. You can have a look.
The biggest thing is with the shape of their heads, they're all going to sink differently. So it might be very similar coming up because you've got tension on it, so you're putting that action in. But under free line or loose line when they're sinking down, the different head shape is going to cause them to do different things.
Yep. And then there's these are made in Japan, but these ones have a massive hole in them, and they're called something jet. I don't know what the Japanese word is. Leave my wife here. But these things are unique. So the idea of it is that they create a lot of bubbles in the water. Okay. But being made in Japan, they're a little expensive. And then, so Shimano with that Lacanis jig come around at the start there, which was one of the originals. For some reason, they dropped that and made this Baku jig. It's called a Baku, which is also works very well. We've got a lot of fish on them, but we still like the Lacanis ones better. But they've now brought the Lacanis back due to public demand, and they're back in action again. And as I said, there's a lot. We've probably got 30 different brands of Lacanis jigs down there. Then you got hybrid type things like a Lacanis type, like that type. You can put a pilchard on or a strip of bait and work it like a lure. At the same time, fish will bite the bait, right? It's vexed.
I think the biggest thing is with all these little tie rubber jigs or Lacanis type style jigs, if you look at them when we're going through, we're talking like pearlies up to 70 centimetres. The hooks on them are tiny. They look like a little brim hook. But just the way they bite, it's like they're trying to get an octopus or a squid that's getting away. They seem to just nip at the tail, and you always just catch them in that little meaty part of the mouth. So
it's very hard to get the hooks out.
Yeah, that's where...
It's in their lips, actually.
Yeah, like in the lips, or like they might just get caught around the jaw at times. But that's where fishing, say Dougie's fishing with that type of rod, it's quite stiff. You've got to either fish a really light drag or fish real gentle with something like this. Otherwise, you're just going to rip hooks out. You rip hooks out or you straighten them with those little ones.
Just pass that white rod behind me, the spin version. That one, yeah.
So something like this, something that's a bit softer, much more forgiving, and you just don't rip the hooks out. You lose very minimal on the way up with those little jigs. Hard to believe, but the hooks just get caught everywhere and they come up. So, yeah.
Thank you. Busy band tonight.
My bag's full up the back.
That's all right, mate. Keep filled it, mate.
But yeah, so it's just hard to get your head around them. Like when they first came out, we had customers that would like change them out to 2 big hooks like that. I'm going for big fish, blah, blah, blah. That's the only way to do it. But maybe if you're fishing up the reef and you're fishing for trout or reds and stuff like that, stuff that you have to turn off the bottom and get away from things, yeah, the bigger hook probably does work better. But out here doing this stuff, snapper, pearlies, trag, all of that general mixed reef stuff, those little hooks, you won't fault them.
The reason I'm putting these out, Stu, is I've got to turn the UV light on in a minute. Now, no one's asked about UV. Does UV make a difference in deeper water? Look, that's a good question. I don't know if it does or doesn't, but I know in shallow water, 100% yes, UV is really important. And we know from deep dropping, if we use UV leader, we outfish normal leader. So it obviously does do something down there, whether it's a different light spectrum that they see that we don't see, because we can't see UV until we turn on the UV light. But it's very different. So what I'm going to do, you guys at the front can see it anyhow, but if you want to come up row at a time and have a look, you can see what I'm talking about. Is that all right? Everyone can do that? Just be careful in the dark. So I'm going to turn the lights out up that in town. Thanks, Stu. UV leader, so it's UV enhanced the leader. So when you put a UV light on, it's like glows up. I've got some here actually. You'll see what I mean. So, and I've got your normal leader here. This is like your normal leader. So if you put that next to UV, you'll see the difference. So I was just going to work out how to turn this one on, mate. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Dan. Okay, thanks, Stu. So, mate. So, can you guys see? Oh, you can stand up if you want to stand up the front row first. Can you guys see all that light up? So we don't see that, but that's how the fish see it. So don't know how they work that out. Obviously, talk to the fish. Something I don't know. Can you see the difference between there and that? That doesn't do anything. You see that one? It's UV enhanced. It's amazing, eh? Yeah. So a lot of this stuff here, like these things. Can you guys see that down there? You can come and have a look. If you come out and have a look, welcome to come up. Even just the heads of, sometimes it's in that. But when you get UV enhanced in colours, it's very bright. Compared to how we see it, it's differently,
The UV laser doesn't bother them?
No, they love it. You get more bites. Guarantee. We've done that test. Yeah, no, that's exactly well. We don't sort of see UV, but that's how the fish see it. Well, mostly glow. All glow is actually UV of some type. The other thing too about glow is if it's already been charged now, so this actually glows blue, which is even better. So it's quickly UV charges stuff very quickly. You see that? It's blue, and this one here is going to glow green. So if you ever want to glow up stuff, buy yourself a little UV light. Super bright. Then you got stuff like that that's not glowing at all, but it's UV. What colour Liam had yesterday? That one there. Oh, there you go. That's what works. It glows, Stu. The whole thing glows. That's that white and brown one. Doesn't look that to us, so we don't see that at all until you put this on it. But anyhow, that's how UV works. It's just amazing how it works. And then again, you got stuff like this. So that's, I don't know if this glows or not. No, but it's UV. You can see the. Not really UV. Sorry, that one. Not that one. Here you go. This one here is UV. See that? So some stuff's UV. We get guys coming in our shop and they walk around torches, they do, and they check them out. And they grab that one, and they grab that one. But when you start using UV, thanks Stuart. When you start using UV gear, you realise we all use a Lumo because we believe it works better and it does work better. And when you start using the UV enhanced stuff, it definitely makes a difference, including the lead, like I was saying before. Yeah. So any questions on that at all? Oh, all good. Okay. Great. Okay. I want to show this to you. Sorry, mate. Oh, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's right. Those little squid glow blue. Blue is like the #1 glow colour, okay? More than green. So if you've got something that's got glow blue, grab it. Glow blue beads or whatever it may be. And then Lumos after that and the next best thing. Okay. Other than that, tools of the trade. Does anyone here spike their fish at all? Yeah, great. Okay. So pearlies are a great fish to spike. They even have like a little soft bit above their eye that is where the spike hole goes in. So you can buy little tools, a little tool here, I don't know what brand this is. Anyhow, that's a little tool that it just screws together and you spike it. You can just get cheaper stuff like that, that'll work, Grind down an old screwdriver if you've got one at home. They're rust, but they'll work. But if you spike the fish, they're a lot better. If you don't want to spike it, at least cut the gills. And don't actually cut the neck in half. You don't have to do that. You just cut inside the gill part, okay? We have specialists, and they're from Japan. They're like shaped like this sort of thing, weird. Their gill cutters are really good. And they'll cut through anything. Other tools, bait knives, whatever it may be, good pair of pliers. As Stewie said before, most of the fish are pretty well. The pearl is they fall out of their mouth once you get on the deck, but if you're using the canvas type jigs, they do get stuck in their lips. You got to pull them out. Apart from that, not much to show you, I don't think. That's all good. So look, you need to work out your GPS and your sound, and first two important things after you know where you're going to go. Then once you've got that down pat and you understand your drift pattern, and it will change a little bit, but not very often, when you're out there drifting on that day, you should be able to get fish. You should really be able to get fish, because that's so important. The guy driving the boat is more important than the guy holding the rod. He's got to put you on the fish and do it right for you. And if you're on your own or with a mate, you just got to try and do both at the same time, fish and reverse the boat. And most days, unfortunately, it's not calm, it's windy. It's like 10 knots or 5 knots minimum. 10 knots average, 15 knots common. So you'll need to learn to reverse the boat or the jet ski, whatever it might be. Can you guys reverse the jet ski? You can, yeah, good. So you need to reverse as well. Yeah, oh yeah, okay. Coming up, last thing. Good that you reminded me. Okay, so not that one. This one. It's inside it. So a parachute is pretty popular. So with pearl perch, they're not a stationary type fish. So if you want to spot lock on them and fish them, you won't get many. They're like drift fishing, okay? They're like movement. And if you've got a parachute and it's windy, we probably should have used this yesterday, they will definitely help you in your drifting, okay? And when you buy a parachute, it's quite a big one, this one, don't be scared about using a big one, okay? Like, I don't know if I'd use that on a 4 metre boat, but I'd definitely use it on a 5 metre plus. That's quite a big one. This is actually about as big as I get, nearly. But that's how it is. So you have a rope tied to the end here, which is called like a painter's line, which is tied to the boat, and it's also pulled on here. If you use like a ring or whatever you want to use on it, and when you hook up, this is drifting and sitting about probably from here to maybe the wall over there from the boat, or might be closer maybe, stairs, and out of the way of the line, so most of the time. You get a big fish on it, starts jumping around like a marl or something on the bottom, get this in, just get it in real quick. But otherwise, it just sits out there, and you'll feel the boat will sort of like go a bit loose, and all of a sudden it'll pull up tight, and the boat will just like stop in the drift. You might be drifting at like 2 k's an hour, 3 k's an hour. Slows it right down. Doesn't work in current very good, it works in wind. Okay, remember that. But once you get it pulled in, you pull it in from that end comes around, it just reverses it and just comes straight in. It's easy. You'll never pull it in this way from the front. But that's a fairly big one. But if you got 6 metre boat or 7 metre boat, definitely that size. If you got a little boat, 5 metres, which is a size smaller, which I did have here, but I don't know where it is. I want this one here. No, the same size. Anyhow, the smaller one. Exhibit B's missing. But yeah, they're really good. So if you got one, use it. On the ski, probably a bit hard. Yeah, you guys don't drift as you don't drift as. Yeah, you get much at all? No, you don't. You don't get as much as we do. You know. And if you got a half cabin boat, it unfortunately becomes like a sail in wind, right? But it's always pushing at the front, pushing the boat forward. There's not much you can do about it. If you've got a walk-through screen, maybe open up the screen, let the wind go through it a bit, or just keep reversing up, simple as that. But when you reverse up, unfortunately boats are quite narrow, the motor's there, your rods are there, you've got to be really careful of the lines. Don't get caught around the prop. And if I could make it unsuggestive for safety, definitely have some big zip ties in the boat, or some duct tape. And many times we've been out there and we've had to zip tie the knife or to the gaff handle and use it to cut around the prop. There's no one going to jump out the water. There's too many sharks. There's just too many sharks. So, and we just makeshift and cut the line off the pole. Yeah.
Mine, if I turn my motor, I can kind of slide on.
Yeah, if you, some people have a long transfer, like a, you know, like a transfer in the back, and they can get down the transfer and then stand there and get to it. But if you've got a motor that's sort of around 150 horsepower and bigger, it's quite long. Yeah, especially a long shaft, it's even longer. Yeah, so, but have some zip ties and duct tape in there. But get back to the pearlies. Any questions before I go to the marks here? Everyone's good? Yes,
Ask
please.
about Electric.
Oh, electrics. We've got the. Jeez. Okay. We made up a combo for tonight, and this is probably a really, really sweet combo, by the way. Fairly good one. It's a little Leo Brits 300. It's got 300 metres of PE2. Is it 2?
2.5.
2.5, 50.
40 pound.
40 pound, yeah, 45 pound. And the rod's a PE2 or 3, Stu?
3.
PE3. So it'll take up to obviously 60 pound. But that's like comfortable, light. It's just like using the same reel Stu had before. You feel the weight of it.
Yeah, you can either jig with it or you can bottom fish with it and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's a turnaround type guide system. So a lot of these rods you see got a spiral type effect on the guides on overhead, especially on the lighter rods. And the reason being is they apparently lift better than they pull, if that makes sense.
So snapper lead, be fine with this outfit.
Yeah, like
You
a
can
12
go as
or
hard
a
as you
16
want.
or a
You
20
go-
or
You can go
whatever.
really hard on this.
Yeah.
Go hard. Let's go these. Yeah.
Will be
Yeah. Hopefully.
If-
We'll get-
If not, like that's the more traditional
Yeah.
small electric that
So
you'd use.
we do use like this style as well on pearlies when we're only because we use the same sort of thing for catching like
Barcode
and
and stuff.
stuff in a bit deeper water and flamies and stuff. But if we sometimes on the way out we'll say let's get our bag on pearlies before we go out and chase the flamies, and that's how we try and do it. So the tip's still reasonably soft. You put a keel lead on it, it's bending a bit, right? Still works, takes out everything we're saying about being soft and gentle and da. But you just got to wind it slow. So don't throttle at high speed because it rips them straight out of their mouth. But that sort of thing will double up and do everything, if that makes sense. The price of this is actually cheaper than the other one. But the quality on the other one's by far better. Yeah. But that one will still do the job. But that one's got, I think, 600 metres of,
That's got 80 on it,
so 600 metres of 80 around about.
roughly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that you can fish out in 300 metres deep and catch cods and whatever else. And still catch pearlies. But that other little one, you probably would fish out to maybe 250 in it for flamies and stuff.
How would that one go with a strap-on battery?
Oh, fine. But you can actually
no worries.
screw one on as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the little ones like that size, say using like a the battery got Stu's got Super 80 here. 3.5.
Yeah, a little 3.5. So you
Yeah.
just plug that straight
You
into
get
the reel.
6 hours out of it
Oh,
of
yeah.
continuous fishing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just screws in like do it up, Stu. Gizmos, they're getting better and better every year.
So just plug straight in. They do come with a lead as well that you can strap it to the rod and do all that stuff. But
Yeah, okay, so you don't have to strap it on, you can just
No.
yeah, just
screw
plug
on
it
like that.
straight in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let it hang.
Same with the big one too.
Yeah, I've got a 10 amp hour one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I've got the reel, I just haven't got
Yeah,
the rod, so I'm
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
trying to figure out which rod to strap it on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
something like this.
That
Yeah.
might go, that one.
I got the only one that was flat. So anyway,
It's
all right.
battery.
it's flat.
Oh, nice too. But generally
Anyway,
come to a
just go
fairly
straight
flat.
in there and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screws up.
Yep.
Yep. Straight to it. But I look for the electrics. So the electrics are pearl perch. If you want to have an easy way of doing it, it's the easy way of doing it.
I was
So
going to say, if you want to hunt and gather and just mass murder quick, just do that.
probably bag
You
of-
just run 3 hooks, you catch 3 at a time or 2 at a time, use a kilo of lead, and it's just quick. It's easy, you know, but it's,
Make sure you've got
It-
5 kids in the boat that
yeah,
all
that's right.
do sort of fish. Then you get 20 pearlies.
Yeah.
Because it happens quick. Yeah. But definitely, if you've got deep drop gear and the rod tip's got a little bit of give to it, they're fine for pearl perch. And when you, as I said, when you put a sinker on the size of that there, use about 1 kilo in that 120 metre, 160 that's fine. It'll bend the rod a little bit. It's already got spring to it, and it's happening. You just can't do any of the lure fishing with it. You can do jigging with for kings and amberjack, but you can't really do it for this sort of stuff. All good? Okay. Okay, Stewie, GPS marks. So, how many people from Brisbane again, sorry? A few of you there. So do you guys fish the south or north part, north, do you? So there is a couple of north marks here I think I've got. And you fish south, I keep getting the names on it.
Craig.
Craig, you fish south, Craig?
Well, I haven't really fished anywhere yet. I'm
Okay,
just sort of
getting into it.
geared up.
Okay, that's cool. So, oops, sorry, Stuart's got to do my math again, mate. Let's see that probably. Thanks, mate. Okay, that's Cape Morton there. Point lookout, jumping pin, Seaway, Burley, and Tweed Heads. Down there. So if you look at the numbers on your sheet there, give you some idea. I think by memory, I'll start down the bottom end. Tweed's sort of like 28. This is on this southern, so the southern's the latitudes, okay, which go that way across. Burley Heads is 28. I think it's 05 or 06, something 05. Seaway's 27.56. Jumping Pin's about 27.40. 2, I think. Point Lookout's about 27.22, I think. And I think Cape Morton is 26. I got the wrong sheet. You have. That's the old sheet.
Yeah.
This is the new sheet. I think Cape Morton is about 26.30 something. 26. Oh no, 27.02 I think it is, sorry. Or 26, it's around 26.58 or 27.02. Do you guys from Morton know which one it is?
I'm going to have a look now.
27, is it? Yeah, around about that. Okay, that's what I think. So, 27. I haven't been up there for a little while. So, as you go further south, that number changes. So, if you didn't know this, from here, when it's 27, that number changes to an 8. So, it represents exactly 60 nautical miles, which is about 118 k's. So, from there down to Burley Heads, if a crow flies, is 65 nautical miles. Does that make sense? So it doesn't actually click over to 100, it clicks over. It's in minutes, called minutes. It's hard to explain. But
Yeah, 1 minute's 1 nautical mile.
yeah, correct. Spot on. That's right. So from Cape Morton down to Burley Heads is 65 nautical miles, 65 minutes. 1 minute is 1 degree. Does that make sense? So if you look here, and we say we go to the under 90 metres line, so that top mark is 26.30, which is going to be probably up around Wide Caloundra, I guess, a fair bit north. And then 26.58, the third mark down, is going to be somewhere roughly around here, off Cape Morton. And then as you go further south, it goes in accordance with it. So the bottom one's down south of Tweed, so probably down around here somewhere. And then the other side, which is the 153 mark, that's your longitude ones. And unfortunately, it doesn't run a straight line, or it does, but our reefs don't run a straight line. So it's going to go down like that. So what was up here maybe just say for example, 120 metres deep. Here might only be 80 metres deep. And then down here, it might be 140 metres deep. And the reason being is because the reefs don't run straight. They could be in that sort of shape like that, or vice versa. Does that make sense? So up this end it's deep, and out here it's shallow, and it's shallow in here, and down here it goes deep again. Actually, it might come in on that angle there, sorry. So it's inside of that. It's deeper than that, up there. So you can't actually be on the same longitude for the same depth the way down. That's not going to get it. And all the reefs run in the same sort of configuration. So off the Gold Coast here, the 24 fathom reef, it will run sort of from off the pin, say the Cotton Reef up here, or Sully's, it'll run in that sort of fashion. It sort of follows that contour. And the 36s is a little bit straighter, but not much. And it gets closer at this end, like this sort of thing here. And the 50 fathom reef is nearly straight, but still not quite. Sorry. So as you get close up towards Lookout, it's not very far to go from 50 metres out to 100 metres. It's actually only probably about 10k or 12k. But down here, it's even closer. Tweed's even closer. So to go from 50 metres deep to 100 metres deep is only about 8 or 10k. But off Southport, to go from 50 metres deep to 100 metres deep is 22 k's, because it's wider down here, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So when you put those numbers in your GPS, you'll actually see those sort of lines happening on the GPS. So put them all in there. That's what I'm getting at. But good areas where to fish. Is that my phone that's on there, Stu, or is that Masaka's phone in here? Yours. Mine. I'll give you that mark downstairs for the pearlies out the front here on that and that shallow stuff. Stu will probably get it off you before you guys get it. But my favourite areas for catching pearlies, say if I was going to fish in close, I've caught pearlies at all of those marks. I put little marks on my, especially on my little boat on the GPS. A different mark is a different type of fish. So I know what fish I'm chasing at that spot. That's how I do it. And if it's pearl perch, it might be a little red box. And if it's snapper, it might be a green box, or whatever it may be. And that's just how I do it. And pearl perch, I think, is a black circle, I think. But that's how you guys want to do it. It's up to you guys. But all those spots there are my black spots on my little boat. On this one here, I've used my older, bigger boat, but it's mainly my phone these days. But they're all pearl perch spots. And a classic example of what I was saying about before is if you look at the top number on the east mark, which is your parallel, it's like 27.30 or 27.27, so it's in quite close, right? Then you look at the one off Tweed, it's 153.42, so it's actually 12 or 15 nautical miles further out for the same depth, because of the way the coastline's shaped. So if you're heading to a longitude number, doesn't necessarily mean it's the same depth as what it was somewhere else you're using the same spot. The under 90 to, actually I go back to the under 70 metres. So you've got marks here that are again north of Moreton, Cape Moreton, and go right down to off Tweed. And then the 90 to 120 metre mark, again you've got off Caloundra right down to about off maybe Cabarita, or further down, Hastings Point. So the best pearly fishing, I believe, off here, they do get good ones off Caloundra wide, but it seems to be off Point Lookout is a really, really good area. Good for you, Dave. And for us off the Gold Coast, there's 3 patches that works really good if you go out to 50 fathom area or just past it. Is off jumping pins very good, but it does get fish fairly heavy because you get the guys on the pin go out there, some guys come down from Point Lookout, and obviously guys go up from the Gold Coast. Off east of the Seaway, it's pretty well done and dusted for good catches of pearlies. It's still not too bad, but it depends on the day. But the the 73 to 77 metre mark is probably the go. If you don't want to go too far, or you've got to go out a bit further, you'll get to 120 metres. So just beyond the 50 fathom reef. And the best areas out south of the Seaway are definitely off about Burley Heads, which I think is on here by memory, that 2808 or 04 down to 08. So 04 is a really good spot. That one's in a bit deeper. That's in about 120, 130 metres, 128 I think it is actually. So it's the bottom, fourth one from the bottom on the under 90 to 120 metres one. That's off Burley Head sort of thing. The next couple are down further off Tweed Heads, sort of east of Deep Southern and down further again. So bottom Tweed is really good pearl perch fishing. And has anyone been to Windara Banks at all? Here? Okay, Windara. So if you go straight east of Windara, in around about 95 to 110 metres, is really good country for pearl perch. I don't know what the bagel is at pearl perch. I think it's actually less than 5, is it? Oh, it's more, okay. 5 New South Wales. Smaller though, right? 35? 30, is it 30 or 35? Yeah. Okay, we're 38, please remember that. And they shrink. So I wouldn't keep a pearlie under 39. Okay? The only, yeah, they do shrink. How does it work? It didn't work for me. The only time I've ever been pulled up by I've been pulled by fisheries, I know the guys and the girls, but this particular time, they always check my catch because I just showed them what I caught, you know. And I'm always straight open. I say, yeah, have a look, go for it, whatever. And the girls jumped on board, and I'm talking away to them about the fishing, how it was, and she goes, Dougie. I said, what? She goes, this pearlie's not quite on 38. I said, well, I've measured. It was 39. I noticed they don't keep under 39. But it shrunk. It shrunk like 1 point. It was probably like 2 mil off, maybe, you know. But it did shrink. So, well, it was close enough. You'd probably stretch his lip out, it would be right, you know. But it's pretty embarrassing for me. So, yeah, they shrink. So, my suggestion is 39 would be the minimum at the live state. Yeah, because I always put on ice. So spike and put them on ice, cut their throat, whatever. They go down a bit small. I think all fish do actually, but pearlies have a habit of being a bit smaller, quicker. Yeah, for some reason. Yep. So, anyhow, be careful on that one. Okay. Any questions at all, folks? We're here to help you on anything. No? You good, bro? No. You cool? You ready to roll? Okay, good. It's that time of the night. Yeah, so look, this weekend, guys, the weather's a bit average, you know. It's a long weekend again. Sorry? When's the weather good? Yeah, that's it. I know, so we had big swells, we've had everything, and then we've got big swells again too, by the way. We checked the wave thing, it's picking up to, is it Saturday, it's 2.5?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not on the set, so it's not normal. So it's pretty big waves. Look, when I went yesterday morning, and Stu will tell you, on the south side, they were standing up a bit. You just got to be careful. And that was only like, and yesterday when I come back in, I was on the bottom of the tide, and I just want to go straight down the guts, down the middle. It was running out. It's a bit shitty. But the depth was around, and I'm like 400 metres offshore at the end of Dead Man's nearly. It was only 7 metres deep. I couldn't believe it. And like half a K offshore. So it's really shallow, and they are supposed to be dredging it. I hope they get it done soon. But you could be careful. Yeah, simple as that. We saw those boats go over, unfortunately. And I tried to get out that Easter Sunday. I didn't get out because the fishery stopped me. I mean, the water police stopped me going out. They let a couple of jet skis out and a couple of, I saw a charter boat get out. But everything else is getting turned around. So, they did. They flipped it Friday, Saturday, and I heard Sunday as well. I'll try to get it Sunday morning. It was breaking across every big set come through, right across. Was it? Oh, it'd be terrible. Tweed's getting shallow from the cyclone as well.
Just the tides at the moment are
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
massive high, massive low.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Like the big.
It's still like a channel marker in the middle of like a bar.
Oh, is it drifted from the
Cyclone.
dangerous? And the bars are even, like the crumb I heard is very, very shallow. I don't know if I go across at the moment. No, Kingswood. Yeah, yeah. So the Seaway at the moment, which is our most popular one, is got to be really careful, especially in the low tide. Yep. But we've been out on the, it was halfway in, wasn't it? Yeah, it was sort of a couple of hours into the running tide yesterday morning, and I was standing right up on this, about probably 100 metres out from the south wall, or 200 metres out. Anyhow, oh, to the middle and to the south wall, so that half of the Seaway. Anyhow, give it a crack. Be careful. But the weather this weekend, terrible. Monday, 15 knots, wasn't it? So it could be maybe fishable Monday if the swell drops. There's plenty of Spanish mackerel. You can troll in 15 knots, but you can't really bottom fish much.
Had the water cleared up?
Look, it was beautiful out wide yesterday, but it was pretty good into about probably 60 metres, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then it got sort of a bit still dirty. Yeah. Doesn't bother snapper too much. Pearlies, don't know much in close, but out wide, didn't see the bottom at all. It's clear out wide. We had a marlin come around the side of the boat. It was huge. Like, from here to light long, or longer, 120 kilo maybe or something. Oh, yeah. It comes straight to the boat, actually. It went from out there, straight to the boat, went around the front of the boat, and then did a U-E, went back out. As I said, we were on the bottom. A bit hard to do anything. Anyhow, that's about it. So, guys, get out there and have a crack. Okay, we'll do the draw. And we'll show what we got on special as well. Okay, Stu, mate. So, first prize tonight is a pack of about $400, is that $500, I think. Okay, it is number 9. Somewhere in the middle there. Well done, mate. Well done. It's somewhere there. Have you got a drone? How big's your boat, mate?
6.2 metres.
Perfect. That's part of your parcel. Oh, that's a bag for it. It does roll up into that. So they're worth about 120, $30. And that's not big enough for yours. And that one there too, mate.
What a good folder.
You got enough lures there to keep you going for a while. Well done.
Thank you.
Is that your first time along to our seminar?
Yeah.
Tonight? You're welcome aboard. We planned it that way for you, by the way. Not quite. Thank you, Stuart.